Yeah, there's a quote I've heard, and I don't know who said it, but the saying goes, "Life is hard," and the response is, "Compared to what?" I kind of think the same about traveling with kids. It's like traveling with kids is so hard, and my response is, well, look, if you're gonna have to be changing diapers and wiping noses anyways, why not do it in Italy?
So I know that right now you're currently planning a trip for your parents' 40th anniversary, which is huge. What has it been like being in charge of the planning of a big multi-generational vacation? Like what's been the biggest challenge that you've had so far in that?
I'm a millennial. Like, I assume there are a lot of millennials and maybe folks in kind of my age range out there that might be taking on a similar role right now. Because our generation has really prioritized travel and experiences early in life, and at least my folks are kind of part of a generation where it was like a no, like we'll do this in retirement kind of thing. Not saying that people don't travel, right? But I would say one of the challenges has simply been kind of adapting to and understanding everyone's tastes and preferences. My thing is, my wife and I have been so blessed to get to travel so much that for me, like my mindset walking into this has been, how do I make their 40th anniversary awesome? How do we help them take the trip they want to take? And then we're meeting up with them, for a certain portion of that. A great portion of the trip is going to be just them because it's their anniversary, right? Um, but so I would say, if someone finds themselves in a similar situation where maybe they're planning a multi-generational type of trip, getting on the same page about what is the type of trip everyone is wanting to take is probably the hardest conversation to have. And so a challenge there is simply, can we all take a trip we want to take at a budget we can all agree on?
What is something unique or meaningful about traveling with multiple generations, especially when you're trying, like you said, to make it work for younger kids, older kids, maybe grandparents as well?
To get to see your own kids sort of experience something new and see it through their eyes, how they react to it. That is, I think, the most powerful piece. And then so more practically, for the grandparents, the unique, meaningful thing, for my parents or for the grandparent in this situation, it's simply just getting to spend more time with the kids and grandkids. I think as you age, you just really start to think more about those things. And then selfishly, pragmatically, for us young parents, honestly, just having an extra set of hands. Like they say, many hands makes light work, and it is so true. I am such a fan of group travel right now while we've got a rambunctious toddler.
You said something in one of your videos I thought was really interesting. And you were talking essentially about how sometimes parents can have expectations and maybe some assumptions about a place regarding kids, maybe something like, kids aren't welcome here, or maybe this is not the most family friendly city, but that may not be true. So, what advice would you give to parents regarding expectations?
I'll just speak kind of from my personal experience. I think my mindset, at least, and think a lot of Americans go in expecting that people are going to be annoyed you have your kid with you. And I think we've taken our daughter to maybe like 8 or 10 countries at this point, mostly throughout Europe. That just really hasn't been our experience. I have found most of the places we have been to be just as, if not more, family friendly than the USA. And I don't. What I don't mean is, because they have way more playgrounds. Portugal knocked our socks off in terms of like how kid and family friendly they are there. They love kids, and as a family, we just really consistently felt prioritized. We were in Sintra, just outside of Lisbon. It was one of our last days of the trip. And there was just this absolute mob of people waiting to get on a bus. The bus driver saw us in that line. We weren't anywhere near the front. He parked his bus, got out of his seat, came to the back door of the bus, pulled us out of line, and said, "You board first." He closed the doors behind us, and then he said, "Families are a priority here." And we just continued to experience that in Portugal. We were never like budging our way to the front of the line. You know, we were still, even though we had a couple of those experiences, we were afraid to kind of take advantage of them. But we had that experience again, like the gate agent at the airport pulled us out of line and said, "Hey guys, like you have a kid, you get to cut in front of all of these people." So it was just a really pleasant surprise and a blessing. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like there are all kinds of challenges traveling with a kid. But it's nice to get those little reminders that like you're welcome here. And it makes making this investment, which is how I look at it, it's an investment in memories, way easier.